I'm going to take advantage of this nice weather at the range and shoot my 760 carbine a little bit. This one's been on the channel a little bit before. It's a about a 1966, 1967 vintage Remington 760 carbine, and I've got a vintage Weaver on here. It's the old V4 4.5-1. It's a post and crosshair style scope, real compact. This is a nice handling little rifle. I really like it. It's one that I found on a used rack a while back, and I've shot it a little bit, and the thing that I enjoy most is shooting some cast loads out of it. And it does really well with a bullet that I modified. It was a LEE 160 grained round nose bullet, and I milled the mold and took the gas check out of it. And this is what they look like. So it's a nice, about 130 grains as it goes, and I powder coat them and lubricize them. So this does have NRA lube, the beeswax and alox mix. And as far as the load data goes on this, it's the 130 modified bullet, Winchester brass, Remington 9.5 primer. This is 22.5 grains of 5744, and I used a Forster neck die on it, and then the M die just for the cast bullet expansion, Lee cedar and factory crimp die. And I did add a note here that I have a few loose primer pockets. This is old brass. This is brass that was used for who knows what, and it got repurposed for these cast loads. So we'll run it as long as it runs. These are definitely low pressure. I'm going to shoot it at 100 yards today. I originally started fooling around with this about a year ago and played with different cast stuff, and I have shot some jacketed bullets out of it, but it's a riot with you know, with cast bullets that, you know, just are gentle to shoot. Still have the chronograph set up from a previous video, but we'll shoot down there at 100 yards. I don't think I've shot this with cast bullets at 100 yards. I think I only shot it at 50. So I put a standard 100-yard NRA target down there. I'll hold at the top of the black, and we'll just see what happens. I'm assuming that I'm going to have some drop. Really don't know what to expect, so I'll put a few on there and make adjustments accordingly and go from there. Now these are the Weaver, the hinged rings. What do they call those? There's a name for that, and I'm drawing a blank right now, but Weaver had a marketing name for this. This is one of those scopes that can, the mounts that are hinged and can tip to the side. Totally Brown showed some on his channel. I can't even think of the name. It'll come to me while I'm shooting or something, and just out of the blue I'll remember. But that's how it's set up. It's got a Weaver base and then those Weaver rings, Weaver pivot rings. That's what they're called, pivot. So it'll pivot to the side and all that. And you know, and I think they're supposed to be pretty repeatable, but I'm just going to leave it as it is right now. The last time I had it out, it shot real well. I had a very fast live stream where I had 4 shots touching at 50 yards. And so I spooled up a quick live stream that just showed the target and put the 5th shot, and I blew it. Or maybe there was 3 shots and I blew number 4. I don't remember, but I blew it. And anyway, it was a lot of fun. But like I said, it's a, you know, a Remington 760 carbine. It's a fun little rifle, and it's a funny story behind it, because I grabbed it and I was thinking that I was going to thread it. I thought I would bring it down to, I'd have to measure the barrel to tell you what the barrel length is on these. I don't know if it's 18 or what it is, but I was going to make it, you know, as close to 16 as I could think about and thread it, you know, to run a suppressor on it. I thought a pump action with a suppressor would be pretty cool. And then I started looking at what these things are selling for, and I said, you know what, I'm not doing a doggone thing to it except for to shoot it. And then I came up with this classic Weaver scope up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, up in was it Newberry? I was on the way to see my son up at Houghton at Michigan Tech, and I stopped in a couple gun stores, and they had some of this classic stuff in there, so I grabbed that specifically for this rifle, and it kind of made it into a period piece. It's got pretty cool pivot bases on it, an old Weaver scope. It looks like it ought to look. So let's go ahead and put some of these downrange, and see you in a minute. Okay, so here we go. Get the magazine out of it. There's the magazine. I have 3 magazines for it. I would like to have one more. 2, 4. I think you can fit 5 in the mag if I remember right. Yep, so they just snap right in there. The 308 magazine has a little bit of a spacer in the back. If this were a .6, it wouldn't have that little spacer in the back. So with 308, in the old days, they labeled the magazine specific 308. Some of the newer ones, even when you got into the 7600s, they started to label them with all of the short action cartridges. So you'll find these that say 308, 243, 708, all on the same one. I think all of mine say 308 on them. I'm not sure, and it should do 5 rounds. I think that 5th one's a little tight. There it goes. Open the action and put that in there. That snapped in there tight. Okay, good. Let's see if my camera view seems okay here. Yep, that's fine. So like I said, I will, I'm going to hold at 12 o'clock on the black dot on that target, and we'll just see where they land. I don't know where they're going to go. I don't think I've shot this with this ammo at 100 yards. I think I've only shot jacketed at 100 yards, and I don't even really remember it. I didn't look at any notes or anything before I came out. So, yeah, I think that sight picture is going to be pretty good. And we'll get some chrono data while we're at it. So let's see if we can get one to chamber. The top one was a little tight, but it did go. All right. It's amazing how much one of these feels like an 870. If you're a shotgunner, you'd like these. Turn the safety off. It's like, wow, that's a little heavier than I remembered it. Okay, here we go. $18.02. I heard it thwack something down there. And I cannot see the bullet hole, but hey. Oh, that feels nice. That felt awful smooth. Did that pick up a round or did I short stroke it? Wow. These things are fun. $17.97. $17.99. $17.96. And $17.97. Wow. If the chrono's not lying, which I just said in my last video, that's the thing with chronographs. When they give you terrible numbers, you want to say that they're not accurate or whatever, and then they give you a set of numbers like this. 1802, 1797, 1799, 1796, and 1797. So from 1796 to 1802 is our spread. So that's 6 feet per second. I have shot this ammo before and had numbers very similar in spread. So I think that 5744 behind that bullet is the thing. Let's see, here's some old data where the velocities were really consistent too. So it's amazing how well they do. I'm kind of anxious to get down there and look at this target and see how we did. Should probably pick up my brass here. I wanted to run the rifle because I wanted to make sure they were feeding good, but that bullet feeds great out of the magazine on this rifle, so I'm really happy with it. Let's go down and take a look at that target and see if the numbers here mean anything down there. They may not. Okay, here we are down at the 100-yard target after shooting the 760 carbine, and we did have some drop, and I think that load performs very well. I was holding here. I don't think I'd ever shot this load at 100 yards before. I do remember at 50 yards it was shooting to the left a little bit before, so that's not a surprise. It looks like I could certainly dial it a little bit back to the right, but we got all 5 of our shots right here. I think that's just fine. A little bit of discipline on the sight picture and trigger pull, and I think I'll be right in business on this. So I think that load is a winner in that rifle.